Okay, from where we left off with yesterday, okay, not this, this will come later here in just a moment, okay? What can you infer from this diagram here? Those are blood vessels. So what that means is, okay, of course, when you look at a blood vessel, it's a nice circular shape like this. So just picture this is a cross section of a blood vessel. So in this diagram, what is everything that you can tell me about what is this zigzag pattern that you see within those two circles? Say that again. Can you be more specific? You're right. Yeah, it's smooth muscle. Okay. So, in other words, we have a student out. Just wait till they return, and I'll be right back. Oh, we'll be right back with the video, I mean. Okay, now we have all returned. So, who can we pick on in here? Who can we pick on in here? Okay, so we're all ganging up on Savannah, right? That's just what we think. So, point to someone. Okay, all right. So now that you've pointed to your lab partner, okay, we can presume three things from the cross-section of this artery. One is everything's normal. One is where we can see the diameter is a little bit smaller. And then what would possibly the third one be? Okay, so what this means is now we see in the process here, and we'll come back to that, and we'll remember who it is that we are picking on. Okay, isn't it nice to have friends like that? It is. That's right. But you never know what happens is maybe they'll pick on you. See, sometimes I do that. Who can we pick on? So then they pick a person. I say, okay, now they get to choose someone. See how you kind of turn that around, psychologically speaking, maybe? Okay. So in that diagram that you'd seen earlier, do we have control of that? Okay, so then the reason you had said earlier, we said that was muscle. Then we said, can you be a little more specific? And you were correct when you said smooth muscle. Because do we have conscious control of smooth muscle? No, we do not. So therefore, this has to be controlled by the autonomic nervous system, because skeletal muscle, like this, where you're doing this type of movement, is not the autonomic nervous system, but rather what part? You remember? See, I know, it was a while ago. I did that with the seniors 2 hours ago, and that's why I left that material that is up on the board. So if it's not the autonomic nervous system, do you remember what's the other side that you can consciously control? Do we know? Yeah, static. Hearing really isn't that great. Do you know why this is so hilarious? Because you're somewhat whispering, I think it's the somatic. But I don't want to say stupid. You know, one of the things that we all need to get out of our head, and it's tough to do, it's just that we're more comfortable here in this type of a setting. What happens in 1, 2, 3 years from now? You're in a technical school, college. Would you say college? Because it is Southeast Technical College, right? It's no longer called Technical Institute. I think that's just a subtle difference that we have. So you're in that college classroom. Are you more available to answer questions here, more comfortable, or 3 years from now? Hopefully, well, we can always hope for that. That's why we say you've got to get that out of your head that you think, oh my God, I don't want to sound silly. See, now it sounds like I'm picking on you, but I think that can pertain to everybody in here, okay? Because what happens, I don't want to say anything, but were you correct? Yeah, you were correct. We still have this too, even in my case, sitting with my classmates every Wednesday night. Okay, it's over Zoom, and we're talking to, well, the professors up at SDSU in Brookings, and then my classmates. I've heard Massachusetts, New Jersey, Kansas City. So sometimes I give the state, sometimes I give the city. San Diego, I think there's another one. There's 2 or 3 of them from California, about 3 of them from Minnesota. I said Kansas already. 2 from Texas, I believe. So, and then oddly enough, there's just 3 from South Dakota. That's it. And a lot of it has to deal with the cost, but sometimes I think, I don't want to say anything either because they're going to think I'm stupid. But then eventually I think it just goes away. So I really don't care what they think. And sometimes I think that is good advice even when you're in high school. Who cares what somebody else thinks? But the tough part about that is you're in the same classes with these individuals all day long. That's what makes it tough, okay? When you're in college, you know, you'll get away from those students because you just don't see them on campus unless further on and you're in the same major as other students. But regardless, getting back to this, try to get that out of your head, okay? So, and I think that's something practical to take into account. Okay, so then moving forward, this is what we're referring to on that diagram that is behind this screen here, okay? So we just verbally gave examples yesterday, and when we think, when it comes to that of dilation, we don't think blood vessels, okay? There's actually 3 places, well, there's probably more than that, but I can think of 3 places where this term is certainly relevant. One, obviously here in that of blood vessels. 2, the most common example, and that we gave yesterday where we see this, which is what? I'll let you write this down rather than trying to think, answer, write at the same time. Sometimes I think it's important to do that at this level too, because 1 and 2/3 years from now, that's what happens in college. You are writing things down as the professor's talking, and that's an acquired skill too. So, where else would this take place besides blood vessels? Is it your eyes? And then finally, the less common example that this would have something to do with, we're talking about hormones in biochemistry right now. You can see that it says that up there, hormones today, hormones tomorrow. So as far as the human body is concerned, or even mammalian female body is concerned, what type of hormone did we discuss that might have something to do with this? It's a hormone that perhaps may start to cause dilation in females whether it's, you could say it's a female parent that's going to be expecting, or Maybe an equine / horse is going to have is it colt? I think, is that what oxytocin. So what's eventually going to happen is, I guess maybe I am incorrect with that, but dilation takes place where in females and humans when young infant is about to be born. Where is that? Where's the embryo developing in females? In the uterus. So what happens then is there's hormonal action that's going to cause the opening of that uterus to start to dilate, and then oxytocin causes that to contract, and then here comes the calf, the pig, the giraffe, whichever way you want to look at that. Okay, so 3 places where this dilation can take place. All right, so where does that put us? I want to do this and that one, and then we'll do this when everyone's back. Okay. Okay, so we're going to have this content that wants it. Okay, so then finally for today, okay, because we are going to start talking about these as well. Not a whole lot of time, but we're going to maybe do a quick check to see who has been looking in the drop folder. Because what is it that we asked that you pay attention that is in the drop folder? Veins and arteries, that's right. Okay, hopefully wasn't a whole lot to write there. We will go ahead and go back to this. Okay, from what we have discussed. Okay, we'll pick up where we left off, Boston. Why would I say Boston? Oh, your sweatshirt says Boston. Is that Foxborough Stadium, home of the New England Patriots? Is it Boston Celtics? Is it, let's hear, who else is there? So that's football, basketball. Is it the Boston Red Sox, or is it maybe Boston Bruins? Maybe that's hockey. I really don't care for hockey, but I'm just thinking of the 4 main sports. So which Boston sport is it? Celtics. The Celtics? Okay. You think you can name the most famous Celtic, I think? Had the number 33. No. It was before your time. Did we watch college basketball at all? He was in this commercial where I think it was Geico commercial rates. Larry something. No? Larry Bird? Yeah, he was before your time. Probably one of the more famous Boston Celtics. Okay, so you pick one of these. Okay, so when we look at the top one here, What process do you think that is? Is that a normal cross-section, or is it a vessel that's going through one of the things we just talked about? Well, it's one or the other. Are you sure? Okay. Okay. So who are we picking on? Okay. One of the other two. So the second one, what about it? Okay. So there are three choices. It's either a normal blood vessel or artery, or it's one that's going through vasodilation or going through vasoconstriction. Of those three, which one can you eliminate? Because we've accounted for that. Okay. I wrote down not what you said, did I? Yeah, I did that on purpose. See, I'm glad I caught that because that would have an effect on how you're going to answer this. So I can't fit it all in there. Okay, sorry. Did you want to go to this one? Okay, what would that possibly be? Okay. Who are we picking on? Okay. Okay, there we go. This one's normal. Okay, I would agree. And that's how we learn, okay? Because this is just something I decided to throw up at the very last moment. The reason that we would look at it this way is this smooth muscle, the inside of this artery. It's almost as far out as we could presume that it is, so it's really dilated, okay? Then with our remaining two, this one is really, really smaller, and then this one is open more than that one. At least that's what it's supposed to be. I'm not the best artist, but you're picking up on the context. That's important. Now, what did we talk about yesterday as far as trying to raise blood pressure? How can the body do that? Okay, you can constrict that to where in the autonomic nervous system is sending this to your arteries and it's starting to shrink. Same amount of blood is going through there, but it's going much faster. So that's going to raise the blood pressure. Now, maybe the $100 question, we could say. This is where I was explaining to the seniors earlier is the idea that last semester, okay, we talked about hormones in here, part of the endocrine system, okay? There you're talking about functions of hormones, but not structures. It gets flipped around when you take biochemistry, where you start talking about the different structures of hormones and then maybe vaguely talk about what some of their functions are, okay? So if the body needs to raise the blood pressure, we talked about this, that's one way of doing it. Then which one of these, this is another thing I just thought within the last 5 minutes to include. If we know the functions of these hormones, that's also a way that the body may be able to raise blood pressure just in a natural way. So when you look at those, knowing the functions of those hormones is what would do that, okay? So, which one of these do you think you know the functions of the hormone? Okay, so cortisol, do we remember what it does? Okay, this is actually tied to, I'm going to run out of space, glucose metabolism. Okay? So I think we can eliminate that. I'm sorry. Kaylee, who are we picking on in here? Okay? So we've eliminated this. So we got 3 to go. Do we know what the functions of these hormones possibly are?
Well, testosterone. Isn't that like the male?
That's exactly. Okay? So this is found in men. Okay? So does that mean, since it's only found in men, that that's going to raise blood pressure? Or what about women? Maybe that's what men are doing to women, is raising their blood pressure. Maybe that's the idea behind this. Okay, you're exactly right. So then, who are we picking on in here? Okay? So we're getting this closer and closer down to what might help us with this. So knowing the functions of these would help. So we've eliminated this one. We eliminated that one. Can we eliminate another one? Okay. What about aldosterone? I didn't. You got your hand over your mouth, and I'm not. What does aldosterone do? Okay, a little bit of help. Who's going to help you out? Pick me. Do we know those students in elementary? I know. Did you ever go through that in elementary where someone's, pick me. Who did you point at? Oh, okay, you pointed at me. Okay. So this is found in men, okay? And women do have small amounts of that. So then here we can go, this is found in women then, okay? So then what does that say about this aldosterone, okay? This goes through a cascade of effects as far as like second messengers and things like that. As what it does is this will retain a certain mineral because it's a mineral corticoid. It retains sodium. Okay? So since this causes the body and the kidneys to pull sodium out of the blood, okay, so water's going to follow this. So when that happens, if your amount of water is decreasing inside the blood, does that make it thinner or thicker? It's going to make it thicker. So then this may also have an effect on raising blood pressure as well as this one. And it's just a coincidence that they're straight across from one another. So then finally, what happens here is all of these are steroid hormones. So they all have the same basic structure, and this is what you learn in biochemistry for those of you who decide to. There's a little more to it than this. The reason we say this is, okay, what functional family is that you have learned with organic chemistry? Oh, it's by the way, tomorrow, yay! It's not an ester, I would agree. It's not an acid.
Can you give us options?
Okay, so those are your choices.
Ether?
It's not an ether.
Aldehyde?
It's not an aldehyde.
Ketone?
It is a ketone. Okay? So then, what is the suffix for ketones? Okay? So then, what can that tell you about these then? What do they have in common with this, which is in common with that? They're also ketones. So notice that somewhere in this aliphatic compound, you have a double bonded what? So somewhere on this ring, there is a double bonded oxygen. Therefore, making these not only just cholesterol-based hormones, steroid-based hormones, but also ketones. Okay. So we're running up to about 25 minutes. Do you want to look at some of the vessels? No, I haven't been doing that. You think you're good? Well, how about we find out then?
When's our next, when is that?
That'll be on your exam. You're wondering when that will be.
Yeah.
I would try to envision that we haven't had any vocabulary evaluations yet, that we'll have 2 vocabulary evaluations next week, which then that puts us somewhere around the last couple days of April and then into the first 2 or 3 days of May.
So what's our third vocab quiz?
There is no third vocab quiz. Did I say 3?
So there'll be 2 next week.
Oh, we have one tomorrow. Yes. Okay. I did that again on purpose. So you have 1 next week. See, I can't add 1. See, I wouldn't be a very good golfer. Well, I'm not anyway. Okay. So we will continue with this tomorrow and into next week. Catch up to you next time.